Hey, I bet you thought you were going to be listening to the Anti-Social podcast.
But we're taking over for the next 30 seconds. It's Broden and Cody Flow State podcast. Where can you check it out?
You can check it out everywhere, all the podcast platforms, YouTube and Facebook as well.
That's right. And weekly we'll be talking about anything we can with whoever we can for as long as we possibly can get away with. It's a great time.
On our podcast, we chat to UFC fighters, elite athletes, comedians, whoever.
Anybody who's got a great story to tell, and that could be you, so maybe you'll end up on our podcast one day. You got to check it out, the Broden and Cody Flow State podcast, available everywhere you can find a podcast. Now, back to Andy's show. Thanks, Andy.
Hey, it's the Anti-Social podcast, and before we kick into this week's episode, you guys know what's coming. It's Patreon. That's right. I'm on Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Support starts at only $1 a month. Dirt cheap. And there's a bunch of exclusive stuff over there, including podcast episodes and some other cool little things for the Cool Kids Club. So come and join us. And the money goes straight back into this podcast. So it's a massive way to support what I do, and I've got a bunch of goals that I'll be aiming towards in the coming months with the podcast, and it's all fueled by Patreon. So come on over, join the club, patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Hey, here we go, another week of podcasting. Episode 229 of the Anti-Social podcast is here, and this week's guest is Brittney Slays of the Canadian band Unleash the Archers, a great band and a great person, and this is a great chat. Lots of great things happening in this episode. Unleash the Archers has a brand new song out, a new single called Abyss, and you can check it out on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., etc. You can go to unleashthearchers.com as well to check out everything about the band, and of course, everything will be in the show notes over at andydowling.net, andysocial.net, or just check out the little description in whatever podcast player you're listening to this through right now, and you'll be able to see a bunch of clickable links to check out the band, reach out to Brittney and say hello, and support what they do. A fantastic band. So great chat with Brittney, and enjoy. My days of sleeping in are long gone, I think. I've become like an old person where I usually find myself in bed at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and then I'm just up early. And I just thought, what's my life become? Like I'm becoming old and boring.
I wouldn't mind if that happened.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely a sleeper, so I woke up like 20 minutes ago.
Oh, really? Nice work.
Yeah.
Have you found that you slept more, like over the past however many weeks, or how long we've sort of been doing much?
Yeah, no, I have a job still, so it's regular 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But I don't know. I just kind of wish that I could sleep for like 10 or 11 hours every night. That'd be really nice. I think my body needs it. It's weird. I'm totally messed up, but it sucks because on the weekends I'm like, yes, I can sleep forever. And then I get up and it's like noon and half the day is gone and I had so much to do. And so then it's just like I'm putting myself in this vicious cycle of that I stay up till like 1, 2 a.m. and then I'm just, ruined for work on Monday.
I've got this like really fine line between what's optimal and what's just an absolute train wreck, because it'll be like, I think around 8 hours, I'm okay. Like I think that's pretty good. But then if I just tip a little bit over 8, then I must be that sleep cycle where you just go in and out, and I just fall into the deepest sleep, and then I'm useless for probably up until 10 hours into that 11th hour where I start to sort of come back to life again and go, oh, I think I can get up now. But if I miss that window, then it's not pretty. Like it's really it's really not good, especially if an alarm goes off in that outside of that window. Oh, it's tough.
Yeah, and then like oversleeping is definitely a thing. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know the difference really anymore, I guess. I'm just like, 10 hours is good. And it's like, if I'm really tired all day, I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah,
I needed to sleep.
I think you get used to it. But it's that also if you wake up really, really early and you're not used to it, or just that lack of sleep, and you get, I don't know if you get it, but for me, I get that burning eyes feeling, like your eyes are just so sore, and it's almost as bad as just being hungover. And you just go, oh, like it's just like, especially, and it's even worse when you haven't had a drink or you haven't gone out and done anything, and you've just been sober, gone to bed, had a really rough night, or only got a few hours sleep, and you get up and it's just like, well, really, I mean, I probably should have gone out and done something or socialized or had a good time
to make it worthwhile, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just make that pain like just half validated, you know. But yeah, it's tough. But no, this morning I'm not too bad. The only thing that sucks about doing podcasts in the morning is I've got to get the vocal cords going. I've got to try and string a sentence together. Even now, I'm like, oh, come on, get it out. You can do it. So, but no, apart from that, it's fine. But I mean, it's been a while since we spoke, but the last time I remember we spoke, I think you were just getting ready to send, or you just sent off everything to Napalm for the EP, and the EP hadn't quite come out yet. And then when we put the podcast episode out, the EP was out. And from what I could recall, the band had like so much coming up, like there was heaps of things going on, and it was sort of like just getting ready to wind it up and really sort of hit the ground running. And well, here we are now.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't too much after the EP because basically we were just writing for the most part, and the EP was kind of like, it was just kind of to tide everybody over. We had that extra track after recording Apex that we just wanted to kind of do something special with, and then quickly recorded the B-side, and we were like, okay, so we'll put this out in the middle of 2019 and then the full album in 2020, and it'll kind of, because like we really wanted to have the full record done by 2019, but it just wasn't in the cards. So we were like, we'll put out the EP and then we'll take our time writing and recording. So the rest of that 2019, all throughout the late summer and fall and winter, we were writing. And then January, we went into the studio. And then from there, that was when it was going to kind of be like, okay, so we're going to spend a month in the studio, then we're going to spend a month on the road, then we're going to be back home preparing for festivals with one festival at home. And then, yeah, after that, it was like January 2020 was supposed to be just like, you know, bam, 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 one thing right after the other. And it was working out. It was, it was going great.
Yeah.
And then Corona. Yeah. So yeah, halfway through that first spring tour, it was kind of like hey, remember us? We're putting out a new album in the summer, you know, kind of a thing. And halfway through that, everything fell apart. And then all the festivals are done. And yeah, so now we're just all sitting at home trying to figure out, I mean, I'm really busy because of the record. Like, this is actually, I mean, I'm not saying that I like it in any way, shape, or form, but it's been good because I've been able to be at home focusing on everything that we need to get done for the album. So we're actually, you know, I'm actually able to work on a couple extra things, which is kind of cool. So we'll see if that works out. But so it's been really good to not have to do all this stuff from the road, which is originally kind of what the plan was going to be. But it sucks.
It's weird. I mean, I know this is like it's a hot topic because we're all going through it at the moment. But I was watching from afar, and I think you were doing the Dragon Force tour, and I was like, oh, it looks like a really good tour. Like, yeah, a lot of dates and getting some good coverage, and they're obviously doing really well themselves, and sort of getting those first few shows in, and I'm looking at the posts and everything, and then suddenly I think there was a few posts where you're all saying, like, we don't actually know if this is going ahead or not. And I think it got to a point where you're just like selling merch out of the van, and it was just like everything was just winding down, and just like, wow. Like, and at the time, like, we're all sort of like got our own versions of this happening in our own lives. Like, you know, we don't know what tomorrow brings, and just going, wow, it's happening to everyone. Like, everyone's just affected in some weird way. And for you guys, I mean, no doubt, like, the outlay and the investment up front to do that, and obviously the potential of that momentum that would be created out of that tour would have been just like painful to go through in the moment.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely, I mean, it was huge. The shows, almost every show was sold out. And yeah, we had bought so much merch knowing that. So we had like, I don't even want to tell you how many thousands of dollars invested.
Yeah.
And then it was just like 6 days in, bam, gone, nothing. And so, yeah, that first day, night, whatever, in Minneapolis, when we got to the venue and they were like, whoa, no, you're not playing here tonight. And we were like, what? Like, what? Even the promoter was like, no, please, can we go forward? And, they're here. And they were just like, no, like, sorry, but the governor is shutting everything down. And so we were just like, crap. So that was when we were like, okay, well, let's make a post and sell merch out of the trailer. Because there was a lot of people that had been messaging us saying, oh, we're driving up from here, driving up from there, whatever. Or, hey, can we, come, we bought you guys some beer. Can we give it to you before the show? Or, stuff like that. And so we knew that we had a few fans that were in town kind of already, just like we were. So we were just like, let's just hang out at the trailer, and those that are here already and those that are local and want to can come down and hang out for a little bit. So we scheduled like a little 2-hour window where we basically just opened up the back door of the trailer and we were selling merch and hanging out with everybody and drinking beers on the street. And so that was super great. And then we were like, can we just do this like for the rest of the But no. They started closing the borders, and it was like we got to the venue and then we were kind of like, okay, this is crazy. Well, what's happening to the rest of the shows? And Dragon Force was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And so we all went for like a lunch, early dinner, late lunch kind of a thing. And while we were sitting there, basically everything just fell apart. All the shows got canceled. Every promoter pulled out. Everyone. And was just kind of like, okay, I'm flying home. And like Visions of Atlantis was like out of there because the flights in and out of Europe or whatever were becoming questionable. So they were just like, hey, peace out, we're gone, gotta go. And so then Dragon Force, I think, flew. Some of them flew that night, some of them flew the next day, and we drove to Chicago and flew out of Chicago the next day just because we had to drop off our merch guy and figure out the bandwagon that we had rented and everything. So it was very much a huge, crazy whirlwind. It was a lot going on, a lot to organize, like really quickly. It was a really, really, really stressful, shitty day. That I think that was a Friday or whatever in Minneapolis. So yeah, I was like, the day before I had posted an Instagram post and I was like, everything is fine. And then I woke up on the bus and I was like, our tour manager is like knocking on my little bunk and he's like, Brittney. And I was like, yeah. He's like, the show is canceled. I was like, no. And he's like, and I think we're about to see everything else get canceled as well. Wow. And I was like, what crap? I'm like, okay, better go revise my Instagram. Everything is not fine. So yeah, it was so horrible. Yeah. And then of course, you're kind of like holding on to a hope that everything will clear up in time to do the summer festivals. But then the first one was Sweden Rock, and they were like, nope. And then Spain was like, nope, no shows till September. And then we were like, okay, well, there goes 2 more festivals. And then, yeah, just still some are still saying that they're going forward, but I don't think we would be even allowed to fly there with the way that the flights and air borders and everything are going in Canada right now. So we've just kind of written everything off for the summer, which is really crappy. But
from our end, I remember talking to you and I thought, you guys got so much happening, and like this is everything sort of, you got this plan and some big shows and obviously the festivals in Europe and everything like that. And I was sort of sitting back for us. I'm like, we've got a few plans here and there, but not a great deal in 2020 because we've got so many other things sort of outside of the band that need to sort of be dealt with, and other priorities. And And sort of in hindsight, I thought, oh, geez, I think we dodged a bullet in a way, because we were sort of going to start touring in the late half of the year. And then when we started seeing all the major sort of big tours get postponed, and they were starting to get rescheduled for the second half of the year, we were even looking at ourselves going, I think we should just cancel what we were planning to do, because there's just going to be so much noise if the restrictions are lifted by that stage, because it's just all those rescheduled shows are going to be happening plus whatever else. And for us versus, especially in Australia, like if you're looking at all the international tours that come through, there's only so much money that can go around. So we just thought, oh, well, we'll move to 2021 and then we'll kick off and start playing. But even now it's starting to 2021 is starting to fill up now. So it's weird. But like even what you said before with like some of those tours that appear to still be going ahead, what I've noticed, and this is my expert analysis here, but what I've noticed with some of these larger festivals around the world that haven't been cancelled yet is it's almost like they need to be told officially via the government or whatever it is to stop what they're doing. Like there needs to be an official reason to put the restrictions in place or extend the restrictions, because there must be so much insurance involved, so many contracts like with obviously stage and all the other contractors that come in and assist with a tour or a festival, all the vendors, and then of course all the bands. And if you pull the plug too early before you've got an official reason, then maybe, I don't know, maybe you're in breach of a contract. And so then it opens it up for everyone to seek compensation that's already outlaid money in advance. So it's almost like who's going to pull the pin first, and everyone's just waiting for for their local governments or regions to extend those lockdowns or those restrictions or whatever. Because we noticed in Australia, when it started to hit here, we had a couple of major festivals that were just not doing anything, and they were just promoting as per usual, and everyone thought this is really not good. Like people aren't, like, these guys aren't thinking of the crowd, the people, health, etc., etc. But I just think there must have been so much legal red tape there where they just couldn't do anything. And eventually I think one of the headliners pulled out. So that was enough validation for them to say, well, the main draw card of the festival's gone. So we've now got the right to be able to retract the whole thing. So that's what I'm feeling at the moment with some of the stuff, because we've even got a lot of festivals that are sort of scheduled here in Australia around sort of September region, and there's just no way that stuff's going to go ahead. But I guess they've just got to wait for that official notice to be put out there, and then they'll make the call. But in the meantime, everyone else is sort of sitting there going, oh, what are we doing? It's scary. Yeah, it's scary.
It is. I mean, these promoters of these huge festivals, they do have so much invested, like so much. And it's not, I totally get it. It's not easy. And, I mean, I had a couple festivals here in North America that like people were kind of like, oh yeah, no, it'll be done by then or whatever. Like Hyperspace that we were supposed to do in April is rescheduled for September, and we could no longer do it because of previous plans. But even now, I'm thinking thinking that September might not even be possible, because our government, our provincial government, just said that there will be no large gatherings until there is a vaccine. So, I mean, postponing it was what they, their best choice because of how much, they'd already put into it and everything. But I mean, it was just kind of like now they just straight up have to cancel again. And it's just, the whole thing is so shitty. And just, I totally feel for all these promoters. Like, I mean, Vakken, right? Last minute, they're just kind of like, okay, fine. Like, damn it. And they're trying to get everyone back again, but already they've lost headliners and that kind of a thing that can't do it. And it's really crappy. But I totally get it. I mean, just imagine all the work that goes into that, and then to just have it. Yeah. Oh, so freaking sad. And I mean, yeah, the whole thing is affecting so much, like it's like the entire live music industry, or the music industry just in general, is being absolutely destroyed by this. And, you don't really think about it if you aren't in it, I don't think. So the fact that like every band cannot tour and albums are being pushed back because factories don't have anybody working in them, and they can't, they can't even straight up press the CDs and the vinyl and the or the shirts or things that you need when it comes to album releases or tours, and venues are like just dying because there's what they depend on solely to make money can't even happen, and promoters, God, I hope they all have day jobs, and booking agents, and it's just like this huge swarm of people that are being affected by this. And when the tour first fell apart and we all had to go home, it was like we came home to a huge list of everyone else that was like, oh God, like our tour is canceled, please help, and so many donation links and things like that. And we were just kind of like, oh, like, holy crap, like there's no way we're going to be able to pay all this back. Everybody else is in the exact same boat as us. And it was just really, it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like apocalyptic almost. It was weird.
Yeah. And I think even as it stands now, I mean, I'm not sure, or what you just mentioned before, as far as sort of where you are, at least from a large gathering perspective, there's nothing's going to happen until there's a vaccine, which, that could be a long way away. But, we're all sort of looking at each other going, well, yeah, how long does this last, And it's, even here in Australia, we've been pretty lucky. It appears to be sort of relatively under control, I guess, in the grand scheme of things compared to other parts of the world. But even here, there's just so much uncertainty and so much tension, just internally within governments and just society, like people, like, and just different opinions of everything as well. It's hard because I think just nobody, even just from going back to the sort of the music industry perspective, no one actually just knows what's going on or how to manage it. It's almost like if you had the tail end of it where you go, well, we know for sure that, there's an end to this, like at the end of June or July or August or even sort of going at the end of 2020, at least well, okay, I know how long this tunnel is going to be, and I can at least do whatever I can to sort of keep alive and keep things going or try different things in the meantime, and then I'll know when the light comes. But at the moment, it's like we don't really know, and I think that's the hardest thing. I think psychologically for so many people, it's like we just don't know how long we need to be trying to do whatever the hell we're doing at the moment until we can get back to normal. It's it's a weird one.
It is very weird. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a dark tunnel. I like your analogy there. The light at the end of the tunnel is like just getting farther and farther away, and without having that kind of like, that solid moment or like that hope, is just really, really difficult. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I know I've been struggling with it like really hard after having so much on the plate, for the year, and just being like so excited to basically live on a tour bus for 9 months and then nothing. And it's just kind of like, oh crap. And this is what I do. Basically, it's the only thing that really makes me happy is playing music. And it's like, it's my outlet, and that, I don't have any of that. And I can't, we could get together and jam, I suppose, but you're kind of not supposed to. And so like Scott and I are going into the jam spot and just like playing along to the records and stuff. But it's just not the same. And it's really, really crappy. And yeah, you just kind of have to power through it mentally and be like, okay, there is an end to this. But, for a little while there, I was just kind of like, everything sucks. I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. Like, I'm just going to get drunk on the couch and watch Netflix. But, deadlines for the new album have really helped get me out of that little stupor. So, it's just been, and, honestly, no one knows what's happening or what's going on or what's going to happen or when this is all going to be over or when a vaccine is going to be found or anything like that. And I think that there are some really, angry people out there that just need to calm down. And like, you don't see me blaming this on whatever. I don't even know. Like I'm one of the people that are like losing a lot because of this, but I'm not like getting mad at my prime minister and saying that it's all his fault, or like spreading conspiracy theories that it's like, I don't know, invented by Bill Gates or whatever the hell that one is. People just need to calm down. Like it will end if you just chill out. And there's so much anger and stuff out there right now. I can't even go on Facebook or social media anymore, because every time you post something, some comment leads to some sort of argument. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, it was always a hot topic before all this happened, where how bad social media can get, and everyone's got a voice now, and so you get great stuff, and you also get some absolute trash, and it's worse than ever before on both ends of the spectrum. I mean, you get these great examples of people coming together and helping each other out, and these great stories that come out of adversity. And then you've also just got the opposite end of the spectrum, and everyone's got a mouthpiece, and it's just it's exhausting. Because that was one of the first things I noticed was, and rightfully so, like when so many friends have suddenly got nothing, like they've just lost. I had friends of mine start a North American tour, and I think they played the first show in LA or something like that, and then they were on a plane coming back home, and they just and there was like, I don't know, 20, 30 odd dates that they were going to do, and lots of people suddenly without anything and sort of scrambling to go, I don't know what I'm doing now. So everyone got onto social media, so all these live streams are happening, everyone's getting their guitars out, everyone's trying to do something, and there's so much content out there, and it was great, but there was also just this desperation that was coming out of so many people, because people just didn't know what to do. And so I think that sort of fed a lot of these extra things, these other theories and things like that. And it's just idle time that some people have found themselves in, where people just get a little bit stir crazy and a bit of cabin fever. And this is excluding your normal cooked units who are like normal conspiracy theorists, like moving them aside. We've always got them, but just everybody else, it's like people just sit around and you just get fed into all this stuff online, this digital trash, and you go, oh man, like what do I, it's just exhausting, and you're not even leaving your house. It's just a big burden.
It really is. It's horrible, some of the things that I'm seeing. Like, I have never unfriended so many people ever before in my whole life. Like, no, I'm not even kidding. At first I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm trying to like remember this person. Like, where did I meet them? Like, what show was it or whatever? And I'm like, why? Maybe it's just, and now I'm just like, nope, unfriend, delete, unfollow,
it's
news.
Not worth it.
Like, no, I'm like, it doesn't matter if, it doesn't matter if they're going to like post some racist crap about, I don't even, I'm not even going to repeat it. It's just, you're gone. I don't have time for you. This world is shitty and negative enough as it is for me right now. I don't need these people on social media. Like, just get me out of there. It's horrible.
It's, I think you, to begin with, you sort of give people the benefit of the doubt. You're like, maybe they're just having a bad day or something like that. Or and I've always, like, at least from a musician point of view, you always want that audience, and you don't want to get anybody offside, or you don't want to have a division. And it's like, it doesn't matter what background you are, or like sort of beliefs or anything like that. We're like-minded in the sense that we all like the same sort of music, and we come together on that. And you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to mess with that that audience, and so you turn a blind eye to stuff every once in a while, because it's like, I just don't want to mess with this. I don't want this to become something. But as you said, like after a while, it's just like, it's not worth it. You've got to make some decisions. And like, I use Twitter quite a bit, which is probably not always the best thing to be doing with my time. But I've watched a lot of people I know, and even some of the more sort of well-established musicians that have been in the biz for a few decades, and really starting to draw a line with people and getting into these Twitter wars, just basically trying to stamp it out, and you kind of go, well done, like it's good that you're doing it, and at the same time it's like, oh man, just block them, totally, just get rid of them. They need to go.
waste of time and energy.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I mean, I think about the mental real estate. There's only so much space that you can mentally put things in, like you can deal with them. And we've only got so much time, being alive in general, there's so really, I mean, got to be sort of slightly selective about who we interact with and what type of information we digest. And yeah, it's because I've always found like, I'll be really tense about something, and I'll just a random day, and I'll just be feeling really tense and sort of stressed. I'll go, like, I don't know what it is. I've got no idea. And then I realise that the first thing I've done in the morning when I've woken up and I've looked at my phone, I've scrolled through, and I've just seen something stupid from some moron, and I've gone, oh, what a dick, And that's just set me off. And then for the rest of the day, I'm just in this slightly grumpy mood, slightly irritable mood, and I just couldn't quite work it out. And eventually it's like, yeah, maybe just put the phone down. Maybe go and do something else for the first couple of hours of the morning, not go straight for the phone or not continue to follow these people.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I mean, if you can try to just kind of start your day without that, I think that's a really good like way for everyone to start moving. Don't lay in bed and scroll through Instagram and have that be the first thing that you do in the day, right? It colors everything else for the rest of the day, for sure. I know I definitely had a few times where I've seen something and been like, no, what? No, oh, come on, really? Like, Jesus. Yeah, and then you're just, bam, you're angry. And yeah, it just kind of spoils it. But I mean, on the other hand, you also see so much awesomeness out there. And I got friends that are live streaming, and they are hilarious. And or they're like super talented. And I'm really enjoying, just the things that they're doing. And like, I've discovered Twitch like super hard, and it's so awesome just going on there and seeing, it's kind of like this little hangout community where you can only see one person, but you're talking with everybody else. And there's just like, there is goodness out there. And I like the biggest one has been definitely our fans, and the support that they've given us has been immense, like huge. Honestly, we got back from tour, and I was kind of like, okay, guys, we're in trouble. So, I hope you saved some money. And they were all like, yeah, we'll be fine for a little while. And I was like, okay, so I just have to basically direct all of my energy towards getting these bills paid. And so for like the first few days, I was like, okay, so we have money here, and I can take that there, and we're going to get paid for that. And I'm just like kind of moving things around. And then I think it was probably like 3 or 4 days after doing this every day that I was like, we're not going to make it. And I seriously just sat on the couch, and I was like crying my eyes out. And Grant and Scott, because Grant had to quarantine with us after the tour because he has kids, they're just staring at me, and they're like, what is going on? And I'm like, I can't even do this right now. And they were just like, well, can we help you? And I'm like, no, no, you can't. No one can do it but me. And it was just like, oh, I just had this horrible breakdown moment. And then, and then we just kind of like came up with some ideas. I was like, well, we could sell the posters, and we had those old scrims in the jam spot. I was like, we could sell those. And we just kind of started reaching out to our fans, and, everyone was kind of like, where's your GoFundMe? I would love to donate to a GoFundMe. And we were basically just like, well, the only things that we have to give away are our merchandise, and that's all at Indie Merch. So really the best way to help us is to go to Indie Merch and buy those tour shirts that we had. And so everyone was just like, yep, sure, done. And they just went and they did that. And, it took probably about 3 or so weeks, and we had our Indie Merch bill paid off. And then selling posters through our PayPal has paid like for the bandwagon and the travel and everything that we we couldn't cover. So it was just like awesome. It was so awesome how amazing everyone was. The second we said, okay, we need help, they were right there. And it was just so, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to cry thinking about it.
It's cool. I mean, I think, it's been devastating to so many people. I mean, just people's livelihoods and everything, and of course, like people that have actually, from a health point of view, been affected by it. But to try and find some light out of all this is just seeing what people do when it's tough, and how people react in a positive way. And I mean, there's so many great examples of that. And just to see even what you mentioned before, like to see people that sort of getting immersed in the streaming stuff and just trying to showcase their talents and doing different things in really, I mean, it's a foreign space. Like we've all had the internet for a few years now, but I think no one's ever used it the way that we've been using it over the past couple of months. It's just because we've been forced to go, well, there's nothing else now. We've just got to make this thing work, and it's been cool. Like, I mean, I think we probably, I mean, it'll be hindsight that'll probably help us the most, where we'll look back eventually and sort of really see the real benefits out of this time. But I think there's so many musicians that have been forced to have to learn on their feet and probably pick up a few new skills and think differently, get more creative about things outside of just their music, to reach and interact and build communities and all that sort of stuff. And I think people will be better for it in a lot of cases outside of this whole period. So there's a lot of great things, and even like what you said really early in the conversation was, the bright side of having this pending album is that you're able to sort of tick off a few things that are on the list that you need to do as far as deadlines, and you don't have to worry about sort of trying to juggle them while being on tour and stuck in a bus. You've got the time and sort of the mental space to be able to sort of tackle these things. So it sort of opens up these opportunities that you probably wouldn't normally have, and it's just I mean, what else do you do? Do you sort of wallow, or do you just go, well, what can I do with what I've got?
Yeah, you kind of see, not necessarily like the truth of people, but you can really see those that thrive in these situations, and then those that just kind of let them pass them by. This because it is an opportunity to put your time into other things and to accomplish some things maybe that you didn't, weren't able to before. So, like for instance, Andy, our guitar player, has started streaming on Twitch, and he streams like every day now, and every day he writes a new song, or like every couple days he kind of writes it, then works on it, then finishes it. And it's just incredible to watch him work and do something that he's, done and loved doing for so long, but it's always been like a side project, hobby kind of a thing, just when he has time. And then now it's like something that he does every day, and he's just so freaking good at it, and everybody gets to watch. And it's just like, yeah, man, freaking good on you, like way to go. And he loves it. And it's just like, so this whole coronavirus thing has really like opened up a new door for him. And I think it's just kind of, you have to kind of be like, okay, yeah, so all that stuff is gone and all that's really shitty, but like what opportunities do I have? What has arisen because of this that I can capitalize on? And kind of just have to try and keep your mind focused on those things as opposed to what's been taken away. You
mentioned right at the start about still working, and we won't go into sort of the work life in any detail, but are you working from home, or are you sort of working out and about? What's that sort of look like for you?
No, yeah, working from home. So I'm working from our condo, and Scott is as well. So the both of us are working from home all day long, and trying to schedule our Zoom meetings around one another so we're not both meeting at the same time. And it's been pretty. I mean, I work from home quite a bit anyways, because I am on the road a lot with my job. So it's not too crazy different, actually. I mean, there's a few things. Like normally I go and visit people and I get to hang out with other human beings, but can't do that right now. So that aspect is gone, but it hasn't been too much of a change. And in fact, what's funny is that it's been just as busy as normal. Like the first at first it was it dropped off when everyone was just like, oh, all right, we're, hunker down, let's see what's going on. But then as things sort of started to relax, and it's never really been too intense in Vancouver, luckily. So it's not like we're not allowed out of our homes or anything. So, but for that first couple of weeks, it was kind of like everyone was just wondering what's going on. And then, it's just been pretty much the same. So, I've been working quite a bit on the stuff for the album in the evenings, and then working all day on my day job in the daytime. So it's been pretty freaking busy, actually. I've got a lot to do and a lot to get done, and it's kind of like making the time go by really fast. And everyone's talking about reopening. I'm like, wait, no, I'm not ready. I still have so much to do. So,
yeah, I'm a similar position where, I work from home, and lucky to do so. And I sort of leading up to all the sort of lockdowns or different versions of lockdowns that we've had. I've sort of been used to sort of working remotely, whether it be traveling or sort of working the odd day each week from home, etc. So it wasn't this massive sort of shock to the system working from home, but my wife started working from home for the first time. So yeah, when you said making sure your Zoom meetings are scheduled apart, so you're not sort of doing it at the same time, we've had to go through that, and I've got a little office, and Jess has got this area out in sort of the living room, and so we sort of a bit conscious of each other, and so we had to work out, okay, you remember to mute things, and we've got the headphones and things like that, So I think that's probably been the shock of just sort of working together because we're in a small apartment as well, so it's like you're sort of confined to a relatively small space, so you've got to get used to that. But 24 hours a day for the most part, and working, and then outside of work, it's like, well, for me, it's like doing music stuff or the podcast stuff or whatever else, and I've always got something to do. I can't sit still, so it's it's been like I've enjoyed it. Looking at the positive side of all these things, I always like being busy, and I think sort of having the opportunity to sort of be sort of at home, and I'm a bit of a homebody as well, so I enjoy just tinkering around and just doing my own thing. So that's sort of played to my personality a bit. So yeah, it's I mean, sort of looking at sort of the more sort of positive things of the situation, it's been kind of good, but it's interesting just to sort of mentally juggle everything as well, because from my end, it's nothing slowed down at all. Like, I think sometimes I feel like I've got a little bit more mental space to think about a few new things. I've certainly thought outside the box from what I had before.
Right.
Just I think just due to the environment change. But when I sort of look back at the end of the day, I thought, oh geez, I've done a lot. There's a lot going on, which is good. It keeps you sort of mentally busy, and you're not sort of sitting around. I don't know, thinking about conspiracy theories.
Wallowing in self-pity.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some really funny things out there about that whole working from home with your significant other for the first time ever. It's been really funny, actually, where people are like, I'm learning a whole new side of my SO, and just having to kind of, share that environment now with people and see what they're like. And I'm constantly like bugging Scott. I'm like, why didn't you answer that guy on that Zoom meeting? And he's like, because I didn't know the answer. I was like, yes, you did. Like, and he's like, you know what I mean?
The accountability partner.
Yeah, totally. So funny. And I'm just like, oh my God, that guy just used the word, I can't remember what's the one. Oh, what's that stupid word that everyone says is a word now, but it's really not? Irregardless.
Oh,
I was like, no way. I heard the guy say it because I don't know why Scott didn't have his headphones on that time. And I look over at him, and Scott looks at me, and he's like shaking his head, like, "Don't do it," because I just wanted to lean in and be like, "I'm sorry. Did you just say the word irregardless? Like, do you know what I mean?" And it was just pretty funny because Scott knows I'm a grammar Nazi, and it's just pretty funny.
I love it. Yeah, it's I think walking in on each other, like, in a meeting or something like that, or,
Yeah.
making sure, putting the virtual background on Zoom or something like that, and I'll walk past, I'm going to the fridge and just like, get away, or Jess will come in with like a cup of coffee or something like that, and I'm like just in this intense thing, and I look up and she just looks at me like, oh, I shouldn't have walked in and just given you a cup of coffee, and then afterwards I have to walk out and go, I'm sorry, that death stare was not meant for you. I was just that death stare was for the person on the other end of that phone call or that Zoom meeting or whatever it was, and I just happened to look up at you with that same face. I'm so sorry.
She's probably like, oh my God, turn around and run.
Just like, you must be a real dick at work. And I go, oh, well, I try not to be, but I guess maybe sometimes I am. I'll try and work on that one. Thanks for the feedback. I don't get that feedback at work, so there you go. That's good.
My favorite is try to help, because I work with my mom. She's my boss. Trying to help my mom through all the technical issues when I can't be there at the office to help her. So it's so funny. Scott's like, oh, he's like, please don't yell at your mother. I'm like, no, the other one. I'm like, what? You can't. She's like, it's not here. And I'm like, FaceTime me right now and I will show you where it is. And then like, oh, it's just so funny. It just gets so frustrated so quickly. And like, oh, having to teach her how to work remotely and everything has just been hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, outside of this whole period where, I think finally so many businesses that have been so old school and, it's like, if I can't see you, you're not working, and suddenly they've been forced to have to let people work remotely. I think, there'll be far more flexibility. I think people will be able to sort of have that better balance and be able to do different things. And even, as you said, like be able to sort of, for you having that flexibility already in your job to be able to do different things and get out, I think suddenly people will be able to probably focus on things that they enjoy a lot more, because they'll be able to get rid of an hour or 2 hour commute each day to work and to a place with people that they probably don't really get along with, and just toxic environments and all that sort of stuff. And suddenly it's like, wow, I can chill out at home and get more work done, in probably 2 or 3 hours than a full 7-8 hours in the office, and be able to just get so much more of the things that mean the most to me done. So I think there will be some positives that come out of it, but it will be interesting to see how life is on the other end.
There was this article that Scott shared with me, because working remotely in the tech world is very much a thing. It's already, very embraced. So he kind of sent this around where it was kind of talking about like the 5 levels of working remotely, and it was kind of like Buddhism almost, in like how the final level is like this ultimate enlightenment.
Oh yeah,
where
I think I've seen this. Is this the guy from WordPress? I think who. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll let you continue. Yeah.
I
got really excited about it. Yeah.
He interviews the CEO of, I think it's WordPress, maybe some company, huge company that you don't really think about, that is all remote, and they have no office, and they have people all over the world, and they're at like level 4 or whatever, and he's like, we're working towards enlightenment, and just talking about these levels and how. Yeah, a lot of it is like getting past the mental part of it for people, the micromanagers of the world out there, that if they can't knock on your door and see you, typing away at your computer, you're not working basically in their mind, and just how you can make working remotely so efficient that you actually are like 1,000 times better off, because your people are working to their specs and in a way that makes them more efficient. And we don't have all these knocks on the door or like people coming over or the water cooler moments or, that kind of thing. And sure, maybe that person isn't waking up at, 8 a.m. and working from 8:30 to 5 with a strict 30-minute lunch break in there or whatever, whatever there is expected of them. But they are putting in like maybe 5 hours of like super intense concentrated work, and they're getting so much done. And it's just like, yeah, it was an awesome article. And I was like, oh my God, I need to send this to my mother. But, you know, we're like level 0. So,
oh, man. I think I've noticed, I think we're barely at level 1, you know, where I work. And I think just the industry and everything that I've worked in for probably the last decade is just, it's so old school, and it's just it's that whole thing, you know, knocking on the door and just making sure that you're there, and or glancing over and you can see someone at their desk, and it doesn't matter what they're doing at their desk, but you can see them. So then you're happy. Yeah. So you keep walking past. Yep, keep up the good work, you know, and you don't know whether it's productive or whether there's any work being done at all, but it doesn't matter because there's bums on seats. And I remember I was one of the first people in my company to start working from home, because I ended up moving a fair distance away from the office, and I was weighing up actually moving on, and that was super cool. And they thought, let's try this out. And so I had this sort of split arrangement where I'd come up a few days a week and work in the office and then work from home. And that was such a mental hurdle for myself, because I was pretty much the only one that was doing it. So all eyes were on me, but just watching how other people interacted with me, and I just had to be really careful and just making sure. I was just ultra paranoid. But then gradually more and more people started to do it, and it started to become a little bit more accepted. But there was certainly a lot of, you know, managers and directors and all sorts of people in the business that were just, no, I don't see it. And they'd cringe when someone would come in on a Zoom meeting and you could hear a kid in the background, and they were like, oh, this is not professional. And it's like, well, hang on. I'm pretty sure you say plenty of things in the office that are not professional, and we're allowed to put up with them. And a kid talking in the background is probably not, it's the least of our worries. So I think as people start to blend work into just life, I think it'll just take so much stress out of people's lives, and just, I think businesses will do so much better. I mean, imagine how much money you'd save by just not having people in the office. Like, you just have smaller places.
Yeah, right?
Oh, it'd just be so much cheaper.
There's like the rent alone on some of these massive corporate buildings, you know, it's just kind of like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to look at taking that off of your bottom line by having everyone work remotely. But yeah, it's just this mentality. It's old school. It's not going to change anytime soon.
No, well, who knows? We'll see. We'll see what this whole pandemic brings. Well, what positives come out of it. So we might see a few businesses go, actually, you know what? We may have lost a lot of money because of different things that have happened in the world, but we've also found ways to save money, and we may as well just keep doing what we're doing to an extent. So we'll see. But one of the other things I was going to mention to you that I've noticed is that I mean, as you said, you sort of obviously focusing on the album and getting that stuff finished off. But you seem to be still busy, you know, outside of your day job as well. Like I noticed that you're doing, or you've done at least a book club thing on like Twitch or something like that. I mean, was that something that you'd been planning on doing in the past, or just something that's sort of spare of the moment? Go, hey, why not? Let's give this a go.
Well, it was supposed to be done while on tour, and then that didn't happen. So I just continued doing it afterwards, and then we finished that book. So now I was waiting for the next one in the series to arrive, and I have it now, but I haven't had a chance to start reading it. So the second I start doing that, I'll schedule like the next book club, and then I think I would like to keep it going. I'm just trying to decide if it should be like maybe on Twitch or something, because then that way it's a little bit more interactive. I was doing it on Instagram before, but yeah, you know, I kind of trying to figure that out. But yeah, it was really fun. And it was really funny because there were some people that were like ready to go, read the book, read the chapters that, you know, that I had said to read, and they were like ready to talk about it. And then there were other people that were just like, come to Brazil. You know?
I was just thinking whether it'd be come to Chile.
The typical, yeah. Like, the typical, like, my favorite song is this. And it's like, no, we're here to talk about the book. Like, and I, not that I care, like, I really didn't care, but I just thought it was great that I'm like, okay, so did everybody read chapter 3? And like, and there's like the 4 goody 2-shoes in the front row that are like, yes. And then there's like everyone else just yelling and making paper airplanes in the back of the class. So,
so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I notice that
It's
so
pretty
often when you go and post something online, it'd be just a particular topic or something, or you know, sharing a video or some merch or whatever, and then somebody just talks about something completely random, or they want to make it really personal. They've got a personal question to ask you. That's just, it's like you could have sent me a message, or you could have just put a post on my wall, or or put it in the appropriate place. But no, you're just gonna throw it here, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna go off on a tangent. No worries. Okay, I'll come over and give you a little pat on the head and go, yep, okay, no worries. Okay, I'll answer that one. Now let's get back to what we're talking about over here.
I think my favorite has to be when people post in the comments, and it's, oh shit, I just lost my train of thought. Oh no, where did it go? It's lost. It was like, oh crap, I can't believe I just forgot what I was going to say. Seriously, this is going to bother me.
It'll come back to you.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's just like staring out into nothing, and now I forgot. Oh no!
Well, I get.
Oh,
yeah, you got it.
No.
Well, if it comes back, interrupt me. But I've noticed just recently I've had people, like, I put all my podcast episodes up on YouTube, just the audio, and just to tick a box really, because no one really sort of uses YouTube just to listen to audio for the most part. But I put them up there anyway, and I find people go back to really, really old episodes and they start asking questions to the guest in the comments on YouTube. Like, the guest is always going to be coming back and reading the comments. So it's like, oh, so what ended up happening with this, John? Or, hey, John, did you end up doing this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't think John's going to, and I'm not going to message John to say, hey, John, by the way, there's a question on my YouTube video in the comments that you need to answer, please. But these people just talk like it's instantly connected to everybody, and they're going to see exactly what, like, they're trying to start up a conversation. It's just like the weirdest thing. It's like, no, this is not good internet. It's not the right way to internet, please.
Oh, I remembered. Yeah, it's like so when we would comment, like, make a post, like the band Unleash the Archers posted a picture or whatever, and then someone would comment and be like, this band sucks. And it's like, or they would be like, has anybody ever asked them if they blah blah or something like that, like they don't realize that you're commenting on our post, so we're getting the notifications and we can see that, and if you have a question, just ask us, and if you don't like us, you can fuck off, because I can read that. And like, it's so funny. It's like how they don't even realize what they're posting on, what they're commenting on. They just are like, oh, blah, comment. And it's like they didn't look at the information or the details or anything like that. Or, yeah, like people, I just feel like some people don't generally know how to use the internet even. It's so funny. And like, oh man, I don't know how many times, like, I've seen these comments where it's like, okay, are they just trolling, or do they actually not realize that, like, that they're the first comment on the post that I just posted, and that I will most definitely see this. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty funny.
I mean, luckily for you, you don't have a band name that can be easily mistaken for something else. So having the band name Lord is... It can be problematic at times. It actually brings a lot of comedic content as well.
I bet.
But yeah, good luck trying to search for our band. Like, people go, oh, I can't find you on Spotify. It's like, yeah, well, yeah, no shit. So here's a song. You can search for a song, and then you'll be able to click through and find us. But on Facebook in particular, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, every day is a circus with our Facebook page, because there's this. So we get. There's three groups that instantly come to mind. The first group is Hungarians, because there's a really, really popular old rock band or like very traditional heavy metal band, but probably more 70s based band from Hungary called Lord. Really, really popular, massive. So we constantly, every day, get messages in Hungarian on our DMs going, asking like, oh, my, can you do a shout out for my son? And, oh, you guys are great. I saw you in 1978, blah, blah, blah. Or they're commenting like on like one of our YouTube videos. So you can see us, you can clearly see this is not the band that you know. And then they'll start tagging their Hungarian mates in there, which I think maybe they're going, oh wow, there's another Lord. But then they start talking about like Lord from Hungary. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on here. So we got them, and there's quite a few people that come. We get a bit of traffic from that. Then we get people from mostly the Philippines and different parts of Africa, especially with Africa sort of opening up, all the different countries in Africa where, internet's becoming more and more accessible. And people that are just heavily, heavily religious are just tagging our band in these posts where they're having some sort of sermon or like congregation or something like that, and they're like, praise the Lord, and they tag us in, and I'm like, look at all these mentions we've got, we're doing really well here. And I click on them, I'm like, oh fuck, damn it. So I started playing with them, and I started like responding or giving a little love heart and just saying, oh, thanks so much. And then I put like a YouTube video in the comments or something like that. I'm just waiting for someone to react, but none of them react to it. No one's responding to my post, so I don't understand what's going on. And then I get... That
is really weird.
Oh, it's so...
I do not know what you're tagging.
It's so weird. And then the other ones, we do still get... We don't get as many as we used to, but we still get a lot of people from like the deep south in North America that tag us as well from a Lord perspective. So I'll see like the new likes on our page, and I'll go, oh, this is cool. And I get like a couple a day. And I'm looking, I'm going, this person does not look like they enjoy heavy metal. Like, it just doesn't... I'm just like, I don't want to stereotype, but there's just nothing here that gives me any indication or any hint that this person likes metal. And then sure enough, I scroll down that page, I do a little bit of stalking, and I can see that, they're, praise Jesus or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, damn it. Can I remove these likes? No, I'll keep them there. Great. No worries. So yeah, like I just, every day there's something crazy. So every once in a while I'll do screen grabs and I'll put them on Insta stories and things like that so people get a laugh. And sometimes I'll interact with people on DMs, and some of them respond, and it can be quite humorous. But yeah, it's like, even at one point, I forgot about this one. So Hungary again, our mates in Hungary, they started tagging Lord in dog photos for whatever reason. And I don't know what the connection is, but people called their dog Lord. I don't know. Or what? Maybe they thought that they were going to attack our band because we had the same band name as theirs, and they thought the best way to insult us is to tag Lord in dog photos. But we were getting like 10 or 15 dog photos a day where we were getting tagged in them saying blah, 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 dog Lord, and just photos of like Alsatians and German Shepherds and Shih Tzus, and then just like, and I couldn't work it out. So I just started sharing them and everyone was laughing. So I thought, well, I'm going to make the most of this. I'm going to try and get some comedic content out of this. But different type of pain that we experience. But hey, I always say to Tim, I go, you called the band Lord, so comes with the territory.
That's really funny. There's a podcast out there where these guys like investigate weird internet things.
Oh yeah, and
you should totally give that to them. Be like, we were being tagged in like these dog photos all the time. Can you find out why? Because like I want to know why.
Oh well, I remember speaking.
I want to get to the bottom of that story.
Well, I remember speaking to I'm going to get the pronunciation of his name wrong because I suck at pronouncing anything. But I think it's Mate, or it's spelt mate. But he's from Alestorm, the guitarist in Alestorm, and really, really nice guy. And I was speaking to him a few years ago when they were out here in Australia, and I said, "You're from Hungary?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." And I go, "And you've heard of our band?" He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You guys have got a really popular band." He goes, "Yeah, oh, they're massive. They're huge." And I go, "So what's the go?" I said, well, we're getting tagged and all this stuff. He goes, "Oh, I don't know." He goes, I said, do people do you think people hate us because we've got the same name and they're thinking that, we're trying to, take the attention away? He's like, no, I don't think so. I think people probably just like your band and that's it. And I go, oh, okay. I thought maybe he's just being polite, but I didn't really sort of dig in under the surface. So I might have to sort of really find some more Hungarian friends and go, all right, I need a team. I need to put together a team of investigators. We really need to dig in deep. Maybe I could do a documentary, a bit of a COVID-19 project that I can get immersed in.
That sounds great. Cool. I'd watch it.
Yeah, they're cool. Awesome. Also, I got one viewer. Cool. Well, I'll let you go, but thank you very much. Long time between chats, and it's good that you're keeping your head above water and keeping busy despite all the train wrecks and all the shit that's been going down over the past couple of months. But hopefully it gets better, and well, it will get better eventually, but hopefully sooner rather than later. And and I must say, with the album, I mean, is it delayed, or is it still sort of, you hadn't locked anything in yet, so it's still just getting it finalized?
Yeah, it was pushed back a little bit from the original date that we had been working with. So, but we still have a release date for late summer, and so that's what we're working with now. And as of right now, it's looking like it's going to happen, like it's going to go ahead. So it's just a matter of, we were supposed to be doing like a big tour in support of it right after it came out. So now, yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with that tour, if it's going to even happen or if it's going to get pushed back or what. So, but yeah, right now the album, as far as I know and think and hope, it should definitely be coming out, mid to late summer. So that's just kind of what we're working with right now, but we should definitely have another chat when it's out.
Sounds good. Oh, well, everyone can stay tuned, but Brittney, thanks. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right, go and listen to their new song, Abyss, on all the streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, etc., etc. And of course, on my 2020 metal playlist on Spotify, you can go and click in the show notes to my Spotify link and you should be able to find the playlist. I have Abyss in there, including a bunch of other stuff that's come out in 2020. There are so many amazing metal releases, and as you'll see in that playlist, there are a shit ton of songs in there, including our latest release, Lord Chaos Reigning's in there, including our newest song, A World Insane, is in that list. So lots of great metal that's come out this year. Check out Abyss. Go to unleashthearchers.com. All the links are in the show notes to Unleash the Archers as well as Brittney. So reach out and say hello to her as well. But fantastic band and a great new single as well. So make sure you go and listen to that and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Also, before we wrap it up, Patreon. Yes, I'm plugging the hell out of this because it is a lot of fun and it's great to have people supporting what I do. So go over to patreon.com/Andy Dowling. The money goes straight back into this podcast. It keeps everything afloat, the editing, the hosting, the gear, and when we can start traveling again, it will go into traveling costs as well, because there's so many great people that I've had on the podcast where I don't think I would have had as good of a conversation had it not been in person. So lots of people I want to talk to and meet up with, and you guys have been directly supporting that. So a massive thank you in particular to my social circle tier, my $10 tier. Who have we got here? Andrew from Perth, Mick G from Sydney, Ash from Deniliquin, Dan from Dapto, and we also have Rod from Rayleigh in North Carolina, Saul from Oxford in the UK, Patrick from Canberra, and Liam from Brisbane. Thank you very much, folks. Massive help for the podcast. And for anybody that's curious, if you go over to patreon.com/Andy Dowling, you'll be able to see I have a little goal in there. I'm going to put some more goals in over time, but one goal I have at the moment is, once I hit this goal, I should say, is that the podcast will be upping the ante to 2 guest episodes per week, because I have a long list of people that I haven't even had a chance to speak to yet, and I haven't even scraped the surface, and I continue to add names to this list. And I've got so many people that I've recorded, and the lead time at the moment is just crazy, 6 to 8 weeks, because I just can't stop talking to people. So I'd love to be able to get these episodes out sooner, and I think just having 2 episodes a week would be absolutely fantastic, but it does come with an extra cost. So jump on over to Patreon and support that way, especially if you want to get 2 episodes per week of the Andy Social Podcast. Otherwise, just supporting the podcast is absolutely huge. So check it all out. patreon.com/Andy Dowling is fantastic. Otherwise, you can follow me on the socials at Andy Dowling. Go to andydowling.net, andysocial.net. You can check out our band Lord, lord.net.au. You can check out my other podcasts, Nod to the Old School and Self-Starter, and I'm thinking I might reignite Self-Starter sometime later in the year or early next year. I don't know. Whew. Anyway, we'll see how that one goes. And just check it all out. My world's getting busier and busier. And also, just a quick one. I've just recently started putting up videos with Matt Bacon of Dropout Media and the Dumb and Dumbest podcast. You can search for How to Grow Your Band on YouTube. And there are a series of videos that are getting dropped each week with Matt Bacon and myself. A nice little YouTube collab. So go and check that out as well. But lots of stuff happening. Jump on over to Patreon. I'll keep everyone up to date with my weekly podcast, Patreon podcast episodes as well. And just really happy with the support that you guys are throwing my way. So until next week, folks, I don't even know who's coming out next week. I can't remember. I haven't got my list in front of me, but it'll be a good one. Until next week, take care, folks. Ta-ta.